Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Welcome to the Cooking for the Holidays stage here at the 2022 Food and Gift Festival here in Tacoma. I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsors first and foremost, which include Renewal, Remodel, and Additions. They have provided the beautiful kitchen that is behind us here, as well as Bates Technical College, who you will see floating around doing their thing. They're going to give you all the yummy, spicy close-ups here on the screen. So keep an eye out on that so you can get the close-up shots. Thank you, guys. And our first chef today is Chef Chris Blondin of Vin Grotto. Let's give it up for Chef. Ooh, I love the energy, guys. Hey. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing today.
I don't think I'm on.
You are on. Maybe move it up a little bit, though.
Be safe.
Hold on.
Oh, I can't hear it now. Okay. How's that?
Better.
Is that better?
You sound good.
I just didn't want to like suck on it or anything like that.
Get in there.
Okay.
What are we doing today, Chris?
So I am doing something that's going to be really, it's pretty easy, and it's a lovely appetizer, great for the holidays, because you almost have to prepare it in advance. And so, because it just works better that way. So I'm going to show you, I actually have one that's done, that we're going to bake in our very smoky oven. That was some butter left over from yesterday. So hopefully it won't impact any of the flavor, but I'm kind of going in reverse. So this is what it looks like after you're done with it. Okay, but I wanted to make sure you guys got to see the finished product, so I made this last night, and I'm going to cut it up now and stick it in the oven, and then we're going to make a new one to show you how it goes. It's like I said, it's pretty limited ingredients. There's only like four ingredients, and it's really more about technique than anything. And what's really fun about this recipe is it's a sheet of puff pastry. I'd recommend, if you want to get puff pastry, I'd do it before the holidays, because I even had a hard time kind of finding this. So they do sell out pretty fast at this time of year, because a lot of people are doing puff pastry type things. And so yeah, I'm going to just cut it up into about 1/4-inch pieces. And we'll get that in the oven. And this one is filled with chiffonade basil and prosciutto and Comté cheese. And Comté is a French cow's milk cheese that's with. So you want it kind of halfway thawed out. Don't want this. I'm going to get rid of that. I feel like they used to be bigger. I think they were.
I think they were too.
Like everything else, everything sort of shrinks and becomes very expensive. So I'm going to move that up here, and we're just going to get some nice basil that I picked from my garden today.
Love it.
Yep. And we're just going to, this is really small, and normally I would say we'd chiffonade this, and I'm just going to, where you just kind of grab your leaves and roll them up, and then give it a nice thin little chop. But these are pretty small, so I think I'm just going to kind of do the random chopping. I have this brand new, very sharp knife, so actually this is its maiden voyage.
Oh, we get to witness the first use of a nice knife.
Yes. I bought it a couple months ago, and I've been remodeling, my husband's been remodeling my kitchen, and so I couldn't find it for a while. So then I finally found it.
So what makes a good knife for you? What's your favorite brand or?
You know, I've just been experimenting. This is a Japanese knife, and it's called Shoso, and it's really light, and it's shiny and pretty. And it just feels, if you really want to like find a knife that feels really good in your hand, like just a good balance. I have fairly average but smallish hands as, you know, as a female. And so I wanted something that was going to fit easily within my hand. And then there's balance too. It has a nice balance. So yeah, you just kind of, you know, hold them, and they can be heirlooms. You know, you can pass these on, you know, if you're spending. I mean, this wasn't cheap. But I will pass this on to my son, who's a wonderful, wonderful chef cook in his own right. So that's that. And then prosciutto. If you haven't worked with prosciutto, it's always nice to keep this pretty thawed as well, or not thawed, but it's refrigerated, because it gets pretty soft, and it's harder to cut when it's soft. So, and it gets soft pretty fast, because you can see it's like paper thin.
And for those who might not be familiar with prosciutto, what sort of meat is that?
So prosciutto is considered an Italian ham. And it's the way they age, it just has a completely different flavor than just your regular typical ham, because they do age it. And I absolutely adore prosciutto. It's one of my favorite. And it's lovely in recipes. It's great on sandwiches. There's also pancetta, which is Italian bacon, and that is a little smellier. It's a little, but it also makes wonderful flavor in dishes and things like that. So, but prosciutto, and that's actually looks more like bacon. It's like kind of in strips, and so yeah. So we're gonna just kind of get this going.
And you mentioned a little bit about your old restaurant, but tell us a little bit about what you're doing now.
Well, so I've had 2 restaurants, and one of them still is in existence. It's called Stink Cheese and Meat, where we did lots of elevated comfort food is what I called it. And mac and cheese and grilled cheese and cheese and meat plates and all that kind of fun stuff. And yeah, restaurant business is tough. It's tough business. I'm sure you all probably know that. But living it is a whole nother story.
Yeah.
So I wanted to stay in the business, but I just didn't want to work in the, you know, I just want to work for myself, and I wanted to work by myself. And so I took my little pros and cons list, and what I loved about the restaurant business and what I disliked about the restaurant business, and I came up with the business I have now, which is called Vingrado, and it is a wine shop and wine club, and we do lots of wine tastings, and we do dinners, do some pairing dinners once in a while. And yeah, it's just my life is a little easier than it used to be. So So this is the Comté, and you can see it's a very firm cow's milk cheese, and it grates really, really well. But it has sort of a nutty flavor to it it's just wonderful on sandwiches. I was in Olympia yesterday, and I went to the Bread Peddler. If you haven't been there, that's a fabulous place to go. And they make their own breads, and I had a Comté and rosemary ham with arugula sandwich. It was wonderful. So, yeah.
We have a question here in the audience.
Yeah. Hi, Chris.
Hi. I noticed that you sliced off the rind. How do you decide when to do that and when to use the rind?
That's a really good question, because one of my big pet peeves is when I see people digging around brie, and digging inside and not eating the rind. It's really preference, These harder rinds don't really taste that great. You can eat it; it's not going to hurt you, but it really, that's what kind of makes the cheese smelly, is the rind on the outside. So anyone's welcome to.
That's the good stuff right there.
Yeah, I'm not.
The follow-up to that is, I've seen recipes that call for a cheese rind, like a soup.
Yeah. It's really great, like Parmesan and some of those harder Italian cheeses. If you save the rind and throw them in your soup when it's cooking, it really can add great dimension and umami flavors. And so, yeah, I hang on to those rinds and throw them in a stew or a soup or something like that. It's good stuff.
Like hot tip, hang on to that. And another question here.
Yeah.
Hi, Chris.
Hi.
If you were to make this vegetarian, what would you suggest instead of the prosciutto?
Yeah, no, I was thinking about that earlier too. Excuse me, I'm going to check on this. Oh, that looks good. Okay. Maybe like roasted red peppers, maybe mushrooms, and find a good cheese. Obviously this cannot be vegan because of the puff pastry, but you pick a good cheese, a good melty cheese, and yeah, you could do a combination of different styles of mushrooms, maybe some onions, just all sorts of. I'd have fun with it, Yeah, but I love mushrooms, so I'll look for any excuse to put mushrooms on it. So
Super versatile.
yeah, that's the nice thing about it is
Yeah.
it's really versatile. And I always pack this with a ton of cheese because I love cheese. So it's probably more than I probably should, but
Who says?
who says?
Who gets to make that choice?
Right. So I leave a little edge right here because you're going to roll this. And this is where the technique really comes in. And again, this is why you only want to have it to be kind of not 100% thawed. It just makes it easier to roll when it's a little more on the firm side. So then we're going to put all of our prosciutto, get that out evenly. I'm one of these people that when I have pizza, I have to make sure that everything is distributed absolutely evenly because I want every bite to taste the same,
Yes.
And that's why when I get back from like Papa Murphy's or something, I'm rearranging everything on the pizza and adding, other things to it too. And my husband's like, "Can we just eat it now, please?" And I'm like, "No, it's not. No, I have to do stuff to it."
Gotta get every component in each bite.
Yes, that's the beauty of it. So this is a little easier to distribute. This is really fragrant basil, like from my garden. It's like, holy cow.
I was just standing up there before you would even cut it, and I could smell.
Yeah, it's really, I might not use all of it because it's really, really pungent. I think I'll just hold that off there. Okay, so this is where the fun comes in. So you got to get, just start it out real tight like this.
Pay attention to that close-up, folks.
Yeah,
She's got that
it's
technique.
And you just want to keep, tucking the good stuff under as you go and just keep this really tight little roll going. Because what'll happen is if you don't, and it'll still taste fine, and it'll loosen up that coil. You'll see when I pull these out that their little coil will get a little floppy, a little floopy or whatever, and then you're just like, gosh, dang it. I really thought I had it, and sometimes I don't do it well enough. So yeah, sorry, I don't want to rush this part of it.
And this is one of those, it's so great because it's very simple and straightforward, but the presentation, I think, really wows people.
Yeah. and it's delicious. I mean, salt, fat, pastry. I mean, it checks off all the boxes.
That's right.
And then we give ourselves a little, break in the holidays to be able to enjoy these kinds of things. But yeah, I have not done it yet, but I've thought about trying like some smoked salmon and possibly maybe a softer cheese. Well, not a softer cheese, but something that's not going to be. I'm going to leave that a couple more minutes. You don't want to do too soft of a cheese because then it'll just run out all over like Chev or something like that, the goat cheese. You could do like a firmer goat cheese. That would work really nicely. But I think it really has to be a firmer cheese. But have fun with it.
Oh, we have another question here. I'm coming up to you.
Hi.
Hi.
Do you also add some egg splash on the corners that the whole mass sticks together?
Did you say
better?
this egg?
Yeah.
Yes,
you
yes,
whip up
actually,
some egg
yes.
white and then you add just paint it on the corners that the whole roll holds back together.
Yes,
Better
normally
together.
I would do that. I was really worried about the health department issue. So I thank you for bringing that up because normally I would just brush some egg on there.
And once you've taken the test, you take it about 1,000,000 times. It's the exact same as it was.
It is. I got, I think there's 37 questions and I missed one. And it was funny because the irony of it, so it had to do with rinsing dishes and sanitizing. So you're supposed to wash, you sanitize, and then rinse. Well, at my wine shop, I don't like having sanitizer on my wine glasses. So I wash, I sanitize, and then I rinse, which you're not, I hope no one's from health department paying attention to that. They're being
They're
place.
watching.
Yeah,
They'll
watching.
follow
They're
you
like,
over to the wine shop now.
We knew it. She was doing it wrong. So that's the one I missed because that's not how I do it. So.
Well, you don't want the sanitizer in the wine glass to affect the taste of the wine.
No.
Yeah.
So anyway, there you go. That's kind of your finished product.
Like little cutie log there.
Yep. And
Love
then
it.
what you're going to do too, so I have my little I had my
Little plastic
plastic
wrap.
ready to go, and you just roll that up. And then that's why it's really important, to stick it in the refrigerator like overnight, so it just gets really nice and solid and firm. And then when you're cutting it, it just, And if your knife isn't too sharp, sometimes I'll use a serrated one if I don't have a sharp knife, but I do now. So yeah.
Oh, we have another question here.
Okay. Pop that in.
When it comes to cutting the log, do you recommend unwrapping or just cutting through the saran?
I unwrap it because I just don't want to deal with but it should stay together because of the refrigeration. It should really stay quite nicely. So, yeah, should all be good.
Love it. Now, let's say you're serving this up for your friends and you guys are all ready to go. Being a wine connoisseur as you are, what would you pair with this?
So, I would definitely go with a white wine that has some acidity to it because you're talking cheese, prosciutto, puff pastry. You want something that's got acidity that's going to cut through all that fat. Yep. I would actually go with like an unoaked Chardonnay that has, maybe a little bit of malolactic fermentation, which gives it that creaminess in a Chardonnay that some people like and don't like. But when it's done properly and not overdone, it's really nice to have a little bit of that creaminess, and that would really complement the cheese and then the saltiness of the prosciutto, making sure there's enough fruit in it too to deal with that saltiness. So yeah.
Oh, coming up, we have another question. I love all the questions, guys.
Just on that same note, how about with bubbles?
Oh yes, absolutely. Oh yeah, any excuse for bubbles is yeah.
Bubbles
yeah,
are
totally.
always good.
Matter of fact, kudos to you because I'm gonna go with that because that.
We're revising the suggestion.
Yeah, no.
Bubbles it is.
Bubbles, always bubbles. Yeah.
Plus, I mean, pinwheel, bubbles, it feels like a playful
And
start
it's
to
holiday
anything.
season, and not that I need an excuse to drink sparkling. I love that anytime, anyway. It's the best.
Do you have a favorite that you have available at the wine shop?
Yeah. Honestly, it's just this little cava rosé called Dibon. It's $14 a bottle. It's delicious. It's a rosé. Does come in a brut too, but I just love the rosé. I think, and this could definitely hold up to a rosé as well. But yeah, it's just got a little bit of raspberry component to it, and I like it because it's inexpensive and you drink it. You don't have to worry about busting your budget. For a bottle of wine. So that's another thing that I do. I always find wines that over-deliver for the price. I am like everybody else. The majority of the wines I buy are under $20, and I doubt you'll ever find a bad one in the bunch, just because I don't buy crap. So,
No doubt.
Yeah.
Never.
yeah. So this is looking really good.
It feels like the oven and the butter have simmered down a little bit, and we're getting some of the aromas
Are you smelling
of
it?
the pinwheel. I like it.
Good. Yeah, so when I cut it up, I'll probably cut them in half. So if anybody, we can sample, right? Do we
Yes,
sample?
we can. Absolutely.
Oops.
It would be a shame if we couldn't. It's just a big tease. You just get to watch
Right?
her cook it in front of you and smell it.
Sorry, I'm taking these home. You don't get to try. Yeah, just a few more minutes, but yeah. I do a little cheese. Oh, yeah.
Coming up with the mic.
When it comes to wines for the holidays, if you're like visiting somebody and there's going to be a wide range of different
Yeah.
things, is there? I mean, maybe bubbles is the answer, but is there something to bring that people will be able to drink regardless of what's being served?
Yeah, I always say Pinot Noir is a good go-to because it's a light red. It goes with so many different things. I mean, if you're going with red, I would say Pinot Noir. Just it's really hard to go wrong with that. If you get a big cab, it could overwhelm something. If you bring too fruity of a wine, it could overwhelm. And whites sometimes can't stand up to a lot of the red meat dishes and things like that. But we drink a lot, or we eat a lot of fat, and especially Thanksgiving. You've got dressing and stuffing and gravy and all that stuff. So you just want to find something that's going to hold up and not overwhelm. So I've got my Thanksgiving tasting coming up on the 19th.
Ooh, tell us more about
Yeah,
that.
I'll have about 5 wines that I've personally recommend, and we'll be tasting those. So, and then I think December 10th is we're going to have our big Bubbles event. So, yeah, that one's always very festive. And we're going to have food. We're going to have Perkins Family Farms. They're oyster people. They'll be coming down for that. So,
I love that.
Yeah.
What is a big bubbles event, Chris?
I've had upwards to 16 different bubbles. And it's 2 spaces in the building, my space and my neighbor's space. And we always have food, and it's just very festive. Lots of bubbles. So, as you can see, this is our finished product.
And a shot of our cutie pinwheels.
Yeah. But they stayed together nicely, didn't they? I'm very happy about that. So I'm
All
going
about
to
that refrigeration, guys.
Yes. Oops, what fell? So, I'm going to let that I'm going to put these over here. And I'm going to cut them in half because we have we've got. Yeah.
We have some folks.
There are lots of people.
We do. You guys, you'll have to be kind. Share with your partners. Do we have other questions for Chef? Any hot tips you need? If someone were to come and visit you at the wine shop, would they have the opportunity to connect and pick your
yeah.
brain about pairings if they wanted a certain
Absolutely.
wine?
Absolutely. That's my favorite thing to do. That is my favorite thing to do. I get really geeky sometimes with people, and they probably get way too much information than they really want, because I just, like anything else that we all have a passion for, it's, you just really want to talk it up. And the wine world, it's so vast. I mean, there are new varietals that I've never heard of that come across every once in a while that just blow my mind. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's another varietal I've never heard of. And usually they're from Italy, because in Italy, it can be a region, it can be a varietal, it can be an animal, it can be a cheese. Pecorino is a good example. Pecorino, most everybody would consider a cheese, right? Which it is. But it's also a varietal. It's also, it means sheep in Italy. It's crazy. And so it's a wine and a cheese.
And I feel like the drinking wine is a social thing, but when you have the opportunity to educate and kind of bust out some, facts from your vault, like if you're educating
Absolutely.
folks, they can bring that to their gathering. Like, did you know? Brings a little something extra. We have a question here.
You mentioned wine clubs. I was wondering if that would that be something that I could gift to someone?
Oh, yeah. We do a lot of that during this time of year. So we have 5 monthly clubs, and we have 4 quarterly clubs. And you get 2 bottles, a red and a white, unless otherwise indicated. For the monthly clubs, we have an all red club, so you're not going to get a white wine with that. But it starts out with everyday drinking, and it's $30 plus tax. You get 2 bottles. And the next one is Import Series, and that's $40 plus tax. And then the All Red Club is $50, all reds. And then Pacific Northwest is $60, and Collectible is $80. And then if you only want to do a quarter, which is every 3 months, we have California, Weird Wines of the World, which is my favorite, Iberian, so Spanish and Portuguese, and what's the other one? Oh, Sparkling and Rosé. So
there's a little something for everyone
and
in the wine
those
club.
are $40 every 3 months, and you get 2 bottles. So, and then you get the perks of being a member, which means you pay less for tastings, and you don't have to pay as much of a corkage fee when you come in for a bottle. So there's lots of incentives to join, even just at the quarterly membership.
So if someone wanted to come in for a wine tasting, would they make a reservation or schedule something online?
We used to, and you can, but nowadays I'm there on Fridays and Saturdays, and from 3 to 7 on Fridays and 1 to 6 on Saturdays, and I do a tasting, 4 different wines for $15, and you get pretty heavy pours, 2 to 3 ounces. So it's a pretty good deal. Unless you're a member, then you only have to pay 10. So yeah, I always have at least 4 wines open, and you can also buy by the glass.
I love that.
You mentioned reds, whites, and rosés, but I've heard of orange wines. What are those?
So orange wines, yeah. So that's a kind of it's a trend. It's been around forever, especially in the old world. It's been around forever. And what it is it's white wine or white grapes that have been held on the skins for a certain amount of time. And so skins is what imparts color to your wine. So a red wine like a Cabernet or Merlot, where that color comes from is not from the flesh inside, not from the juice. It comes from the skins. And the longer the skin contact, the bigger the color, the bolder the color. That's why rosé is pink, because they're all red grapes. They just leave them on the skins for a very short amount of time. And so then it imparts that pink color rather than a bold red. So you can have a rosé of Cabernet, you can have a rosé of Merlot, you can have a rosé of Syrah, and so that's just kind of a lot of people don't really even realize that. There are some red fleshed grapes, I will say, not very many, but there are some. But yeah, did that answer your question? Okay. Yeah, but the orange wine, I've had some really bad ones, and I've had a few really good ones, and I'm not a huge that way, so my thing, but yeah.
That's a hot tip, though. I have not heard of orange wines, and I love wine.
Yeah. There's all sorts of fun, really. You know, they call them natty wines these days, Natty, so natural wines. A lot of people are just throwing grapes in a vat, not doing anything, natural fermentation, natural yeast floating around that makes it, and that's a big trend right now. And again, I don't find very many that I actually really like. I'm pretty old school. I'm pretty old fashioned.
I think oftentimes with trends, sometimes they need some time to finesse a little bit.
Yeah. But
So what
it's
is
all the
your
rage.
favorite varietal on that note?
Gosh. That's like, when people say, what's your favorite child? We all know you have one, but you don't want to admit it. I only have one son, so I only one child, so I get away with that one.
He's it.
It just depends. I'm a big fan of Pinot Noir. I'm a big fan of well-made Riesling and Chardonnay. Grenache is a lovely grape. They call it Garnacha in Spain. It's hard. I don't know.
I didn't want to put you on the spot like that.
No. It's people ask me that all the time, and I'm like, it's really hard for me to say that because it depends on the wine. It depends on the winemaker. It depends on where it's from. There's just so many crazy so many crazy circumstance that it creates the perfect wine for me. So just depends.
Dependent on the moment, the time, the pairing.
I've had some pretty amazing Rieslings from the Alsace part of France that just, man, they just, especially with like a spicy seafood Thai sort of something, and it's just a party in your mouth. It's that's the acidity and the fruit, and then the spiciness, and it's just I've had my husband has told me to calm down a few times in restaurants, so yeah.
I'm like, calm down.
Calm down.
I need you to calm down.
Just enjoy your meal. The rest of the world doesn't need to hear about it. And lecturing wait staff, you have to pair this with this, and if anybody orders this, you have to pair it with this wine. And my husband's like, stop telling them how to do their jobs. And I'm like, I can't help it. I've had a martini already, so it's like.
Does it every time. Any other questions?
This is all ready.
Easy peasy. Let's give it up for Chef Chris Blondin.
Thank you.
Go visit her at the wine shop Vingrotto. Pick her brain a little bit.
Yeah.
And we'll wrap it up. Thank you again to Renewal Remodels and Additions for the kitchen. Bates Technical College. You guys are killing it. Look at that shot there. Well done, guys. Well done.
I apologize. I didn't bring the recipes. I thought I had it written, like, my computer. And, of course, I'm doing everything last minute. Oh,
we're losing
anyway,
a tiny bit.
I have, if you are interested, and I can send something to you, if you info@vingrottowines.com, or just look me up on Google me or whatever, but I'm happy to send something to you. I just thought I had it written like on my computer, and I could not find it anywhere, and I didn't have time to recreate it, so.
That's all right. That's a good excuse to reach out to get that recipe.
Yeah.
Thank you again,
Thanks.
Chef. Let's give it up, guys.
So.
Polite line. We'll get napkins. Get a picture.
Oh, yeah. Thanks. Yes, help yourselves. I know. I'm going to grab one myself, see how it came turned out.